Another fun series that I was fortunate to participate in was playing Top Gear with Doug DeMuro and friends. So Doug's content on his main channel are car reviews, and it's formulaic, it follows a certain thing, it's what the audience expects, and it actually helps new car buyers, right? So it's a good formula and something that's been successful, but he wanted to have some fun and mix it up. So the Cars and Bids channel has really been where that fun happens, and that's why we've hosted some build series, some game shows, all of that. But Doug found some budget to do something fun and inspired by Car Trek and the likes of other really fun car adventure shows. We said, how do we do our own unique twist on that? And I had just bought a 2012 Maserati Quattroporte. And this car, all of them are very heavily depreciated. No one trusts Maserati anymore, probably rightfully so. I bought it off Facebook Marketplace from a guy that was selling a inflatable slide and a plot of agricultural land. He was title jumping. It was a whole mess. We won't go into that too much. But I had just bought in this car, and I don't know if Doug picked up on this or came up to this independently, but he said, hey, the cheapest car for sale right now is a Nissan Sentra. It's 18 grand. It's no longer made, so you can't buy it. But the cheapest car in America is 18 grand before dealer doc fees, all that. What could you buy for 18 grand instead of that would be way more fun and pass a series of challenges? So that was the premise of the show. And we got together some of the Cars and Bids crew, a couple contractors, and said, let's just get together as friends. Let's film some things and see how it happens. And Doug came up with some challenges that he had to inform the film crew on, but no one else knew about it. And that way we could keep it really real and fresh and improvised. Kenan bought another E39 M5, which is his favorite car. He owns one. He bought one nearly identical, just rougher. Doug bought a 958 Cayenne Turbo, which is still one of the best values you can possibly get for under 20 and really should be worth a lot more. And then Filippo bought a C6 Corvette, which he'd been pining for a while. So we used this to literally follow the assignment, say these are the cars we'd actually want to buy if we had 18. All we knew was that we're going to start in San Diego and we're going to end at the undisclosed location in the desert where we had a dry lake bed rented. And there's a guy in LA who this is his full-time job. He rents out a dry lake bed, mostly for people that are filming and doing YouTube content. And he goes there and wets it down and shows you how to avoid the tribal land and stay in compliance with the laws. But other than avoiding the tribal land, basically you can do anything you want. So drag racing, you can probably light off fireworks and do all sorts of stuff. We stuck to the drag racing, but had a lot of fun doing that. Other than along the way, there were different challenges. So we stopped at a Target and we tried to figure out what would annoy the person the most. There was a series of drives. I ended up blowing up my power steering doing donuts, which was really fun for the views, but less fun with the $2,000 repair bill at the end of the trip. And we had so much fun. The feedback is always mixed when you're trying something new. But to us, it just said, this is stuff we would do anyways. And the fact that YouTube allows you to film it and share it with people, if not everyone likes it, that's totally fine. The number one criticism was, oh, well, Doug knew all the challenges. He was cheating. It's not fair. There's two things you got to know about Doug there. One, he is the most competitive person you'll ever meet. So even if he weren't cheating, he would find a way to win anyways. So you just kind of have to assume if Doug's competing, he's probably going to win. And two, you have to tell the crew where you're going, but really it came down to the cars more than the people, right? Even if I knew every single thing we were going to do, that Maserati Quattroporte is going to do what it wants to do when it wants to do it. Same with the E39 and the Corvette. So there wouldn't really have been much I could have gained by knowing any of the challenges in advance. And it also happens that the Turbo Cayenne is a pretty darn good car. So sometimes you're racing against an Olympic athlete and you're not going to win. That's okay. The Maserati sold now. Much like my P38 and Arnage, it was my bad idea that I'm trying to turn into a side hustle. So that car, $14,000 is what I paid for it. I lost $5,000 on this one. So this is my only miss. I have 2 wins and a loss. I lost $5,000 on it. I think I sold it for mid-17s, maybe 18. It's in a new home. The guy had an E55. He's like an enthusiast. I'm so pleased it went to him. I was banking on the color driving up the price more, but it had 90,000 miles. And I had openly hooned it, breaking power steering pumps and breaking all sorts of things. I put it on Turo. It had a tough life when it lived with me. So I probably deserve not to make a huge profit on that. But again, even if you lose $5,000 on that, I owned it for half a year, something like that. Had a lot of fun. I mean, you could burn through $5,000 doing a lot worse things, in my opinion. So just for the experience alone of doing Top Gear with Doug, I think that was worth $5,000 of enjoyment and memories. I don't do YouTube for a living. This isn't even like a side thing for me, really. Like, I have a full-time job. So we had to take off all of Monday and Tuesday to do this. We met at 5 in the morning at a island location to get the morning lighting perfect and all of that. So work was really stressful at that time. And like, I was just losing my mind the night before. And then also because I'm not a YouTuber or even someone that's like, does this kind of stuff. Like, got a little stage fright. So the night before, just like jitters, I couldn't sleep. I knew I had to wake up early. It took about halfway through that I felt comfortable enough to be like, okay, we're doing this. I'm good. I'm calm. Everything's going to be okay. But before that, I was very, very nervous. Oddly, the other major hiccup we had is we were midway through the drive, been in the car a very long time, and they gave me instructions to follow the leader. I don't always have the best attention span. I must have looked away. I didn't catch it. And everyone just takes off. And I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I didn't know who I was supposed to follow. They all thought I knew and started teasing me, and I couldn't handle it. So Kenan basically said, Nick, follow the leader. This is like the caboose arguing they didn't know to follow the front of the train. Like, this isn't so hard. And I just I had to pause the filming and just be, guys, just give me a minute. I gotta figure out where I am and what I'm doing here. But other than those little hiccups, we genuinely had so much fun. Like, if the cameras weren't rolling, that would still be just an absolute epic adventure. I didn't mind when we had to take pauses for an hour for them to get certain B-roll or certain shots. I admire the art and science that goes into this, of just even watching Doug. He'll spit things extemporaneously. Like, you can tell he's coming up with it, but he's also very intentional about what he says and how he says it and the vibe that he creates. So there's just a lot of thinking that goes into it that if you're new to it, it feels very overwhelming. But it is cool to see professionals in the creative field really flex their creative muscles and think about all these things. And again, the sun needs to be at certain lighting. We want the cars over here. Let's check your mics. Let's check the sound levels. Let's follow the car at this speed. Don't go too fast. Don't go past here. A lot of things for an ADD person like me to keep track of, but it's also just really interesting. And it does make you watch TV and movies a little different too, where you're like, oh my God, that one shot must have taken them days. I can't believe they had both the budget for that and also just the patience. Versus you're doing YouTube, you don't want to have it be too expensive, but you also don't want it to suck. And that balancing act is incredibly difficult for even the most skilled creators, I think, to hit.
For the last 20 years or so, I've been working with Premier Financial Services for my own exotic car needs, but also sending friends and clients when I was a car dealer to Premier Financial Services because their simple lease is truly the most powerful tool in the world of exotic car financing. We love it because we get all the great things about leasing, like low upfronts, better tax treatment for business owners, lower sales taxes, but we also retain all the great things about a traditional finance arrangement, like the ability to accumulate equity, trade in and out whenever you want, and always know where your payoff stands because they give you an amortization table with every single lease. And Premier's been a supporter of VINwiki here for the last 8 years, and we love them for that, but truly because the customer support of the Premier Financial Services team is unmatched. And now that they're backed and wholly owned by First Financial Bank, that gives them even more buying power for their portfolio of the most significant and valuable collector and exotic cars in the world. It's also allowing them to create new and more interesting finance options and programs for their clients and giving them much more buying power, which is what everybody is looking for as they go on the search for their dream car. So check out Premier Financial Services right now at the link in the description below to thank them for their support of VINwiki and know that they'll be the perfect supporter of your journey to own your dream car.